Oh, good morning. In the previous class, we have discussed about the different kind of semiconductor memories, and we briefly talked about the basics of some of the memories like DRAM. Then we talked about mask RAM. Then we talked about EPROM. EPRAM. It's EPROM, not something like. And then we talk about the FRAM. Okay, so these all are the uh, memory which we discussed. Like another kind of memory that could be like static random access memory. Okay, so this is the static random access memory is the important part, because this kind of memory is basically utilized in the cache. And if we are utilizing this kind of memory in the cache.
Sir, one question from my side.
Yeah, please.
Sir, yesterday you taught volatile and non-volatile. So, if any memory, how can we know that is
Yeah, so that I will
particular?
explain in 1 minute. Just wait 1 minute, I will explain these things. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what the different kind of memory we have. Okay, now let us talk about how this SRAM works and how we are claiming that this SRAM is the volatile memory. Okay, so before that, I want to explain few things about memory, different timings, like different operations. Because if we have a memory, we can write the data, we can read the data, or we can hold the data. So these three are the basic uh, operation that we can perform with the memory. Okay, so let us discuss one by one few of the operations. Then we'll talk about how we can decide whether the memory is volatile or it is non-volatile. Okay, and how we decide it. Okay, so suppose I have to perform some read operation. In that case, what it means that if the read pulse is high, means we are able to perform some read operation from the memory. Okay, so whenever this pulse will be high, like read pulse will be high, we can perform the read operation. Similarly, this is also the pulse where we can perform the read operation. Okay, the second operation, like suppose I want to perform write operation. Once we have read, we want to write something, like we want to replace the data on the memory, then we need to write it. So again, we need to activate the write signal. And here, like if the write pulse is high, then we will be able to write the data on memory. Okay, and we will have some data lines. Now, based on this, this is the data path and where the data is activated or where data is valid. Okay, so uh, these are the three things which we need to consider while explaining or while discussing the things. Okay, let us assume the read is activated over here. Okay, so the first important thing, like the time difference between two successive uh, read pulse is known as read cycle time. Okay, so read cycle time is the important thing, like the read cycle time of the memory, which is the minimum time required between two successive reads. Okay, so this is what we call the read cycle time. Okay, and this is simply we can identify, like suppose we have activated the read pulse. Okay, and then we can perform some read operation. And then after a certain period of time, suppose I'm again activating, I'm just performing some read operation, then we can again we need to activate this read pulse. So the difference between two successive read activation, or when we want to read, that is we call the read cycle time. Second important thing, yeah, please.
So can't we read continuously?
What? Sorry.
So can we read can we read continuously from memory? Like यहाँ पर read cycle आपने बोला है ना?
Yeah. See here, we can read continuously, we can write continuously. It is possible, right? It is not necessary that once we have read it, then the data will be lost. No, it's not like that. Okay, so suppose I have read it, and then maybe it is possible I have done some read operation, then I can write something, then I can do read operation, then I can write. This is also possible. I can read something after sometimes if the data is required again, then I can read again. So basically the operation, like it completely depends on your requirement. You can perform any of the operations. Like suppose you want to replace the data, so you can write it, you can write the data. So read and write, it is not necessary that once you have if I have done some read operation, then I cannot do read again. Okay, so you can do it. Okay.
Hello,
But
sir.
it also depends on some memory designs. Yes. Yeah, please.
Sir, I'm not getting, sir. What is this read pulse means? Like, is it a signal that when
Yeah, this is the
it is
signal.
one,
I will tell you see, suppose the read signal is activated. For example, if the read signal is activated, what it means, I can read the information from the memory. So in memory, I will be having some read signal, write signal. So that will decide whether I will be able to read the signal or not, read the information from the memory or not. If the write signal is activated, that will decide whether I can write the information, write on memory or not. So these are the control signals on the memory that decides which kind of operation I have to perform. So suppose read signal is activated, read control signal is activated on the memory. In that case, what it means, I can read the data from the memory. And if the write is activated, then I can perform the write operation.
सर
Okay.
एक्टिवेटेड यानी कि मतलब वो पूरे साइकिल में जब भी वन है तभी रीड कर पाएगा या सिर्फ राइजिंग एज पे ही?
No, it depends which kind of triggering I have used, whether I have used the level trigger or the rise edge trigger. So it depends on the architecture. Okay. Okay. So the first and important thing, like the read cycle, like the between two successive read pulses, that we call the read cycle time. Okay. Next one is like, if I want to perform some write operation, then the minimum time required between two successive write pulses, then we call that time period is the write cycle time. So this is the something very simple thing that we can consider. Like, we have to simply consider the two successive read and two successive write. Now, once I have activated the read cycle, what it means, now I can read the data from memory. Okay. Now, the important thing is, like, all the memory that may take some time to read the data. It is not necessary once we have activated the read signal, immediately it will read. Okay. It will take some time. So there will be some delay. Okay. So let us try to explain. Suppose I have this data where the valid data is here. This is the valid data. So to read this valid data, the like memory will take some time. So this time period between the valid data and the time at which read pulse was activated or read was activated, that we call it the read access time. Okay. So the read access time means the time it takes to read from the memory is called the read access time. Okay. And that is equal to the delay between the read request and the moment at the data is available at the output. Okay. So this is the read access time. Okay. So similarly, we can also have some like, suppose I have another read activation just after this one. Like, once the data is valid, then again I need to, if I want to perform the read operation, then I need to activate the read signal again. Then I will again I can check it here. So this pulse is also like that. This time difference is also we call it the read access time. So the read access time is nothing but this is a time difference between the once the read is activated and the data is valid at the output. So this time difference we call it the read access time. Okay. Similarly, if I want to perform some write operation, okay, so the write operation means simply like it's opposite to, like, here we have considered like when the data is available on the memory. Similarly, if I have to calculate the write access time, then what this write access time is? The write access time is the time difference between the time elapsed between write request and the final writing of the input data into the memory. So if I have started writing the data, so finally, if I am successfully written the data, so that time period and the time at which I have requested to write, that time difference, we call it the write access time. So this is what write access time. And at this time, when the writing is successful, we call it like here, the data is perfectly written over here in the memory. So this is what we can define the few things. And this is the range where the data is valid. Like the range when the data was started, it was valid, and here the data was valid, and here also, like, because we want to request some read operation here, and we have written over here. So this is what we can decide the time at which the data is valid in the memory. Okay, so this is all about the different basic definitions related to the memory, and that we have decided. Now let us move ahead with the answer to the question which Aryan has asked. Like, he asks about how we decide whether the memory is volatile or non-volatile. Okay, so if you go back to the previous slide, okay, so if you go back to the previous slide here, if you see that this DRAM, okay, so in this DRAM, what we have done here, in this DRAM, if I have activated this word line and activated this bit line, then what will happen? If the word line is high, in that case, this transistor will be activated. And if this transistor will activated, means this will act as a pass transistor logic. That's it. Okay. Now, suppose I have made this BL is equal to 1. So if BL is equal to 1, in that case, this high logic at the BL will charge this load capacitor. Okay, that will charge its load capacitor. Now, once I have, because this is charged, now if I remove this WL, like if the WL becomes 0, then this pass transistor will not be activated, and I'm not getting any discharging path through this one, because yeah, for the deep micron technologies, might be there will be some leakage path, so it will take some, it may discharge through this transistors as well, even though the transistor is in off state. But ideally, if I'm considering like if the WL is equal to 0, so this transistor will be in off state, and it will not get any path to discharge it, so it will hold the data even though we have removed these signals. Okay, so we call it, this is the non-volatile. It will not lose its data. The data will be stored in the capacitor only. Okay, and similarly, now this is all about the non-volatile kind of thing. Now, if we talk about the volatile kind of things, so let us go to the original slide. Yeah, here let us try to discuss here only. Yeah, because I am discussing in the next slide, so why to take too much time? Let us start 60, then I will tell you how we can call this SRAM as a volatile one. I will tell you that thing. Okay, so how we can make the 60 SRAM cell? We have already studied the latches in the previous class. To make the latches, what we can do, if we have connected two back-to-back transistor inverters, then we can make the latch. Okay, so the output of one inverter is connected to the input of second inverter, and the output of second inverter is connected to the input of first inverter, then it will become the latch. Okay, so this is how the latch looks like. Suppose I have two inverters, and if I have arranged in such a way that the output of one inverter is connected to the input of the second one. Okay, so this is the simple structure of the latch. Okay, now let us see. Suppose here the input is, let us assume here the at this storage, let us consider this storage node is Q, and this storage node is, by default it will be Q bar, because both the nodes are complementary to each other. Okay, so Q and QB. So suppose let us consider I have stored logic 0 at Q. Okay, so if logic 0 is stored at Q, what it means, the QB is at logic 1. Okay, and this logic 1 and logic 0, how they decides, like if logic 0 is here, in that case what will happen, this will activate this particular transistor, because this, yeah, this is logic 0, and this will activate this one. And if this logic 0 is here, this will deactivate this transistor. Okay, similarly, if logic 1 is here, in that case, here we have the 1, so this 1 will activate this transistor, and this will deactivate this transistor. Now, if we see here, the data which the node Q is holding, which is logic 0, is because of this transistor. Okay, so this transistor is responsible to hold the data at node Q, which is logic 0, because this is in on state. So this ground will be connected here. Virtually, it will be connected to this node Q, and the node will be, storage node will be 0. Similarly, if we talk about QB, because this transistor is activated, and if this transistor is activated, this VDD will be transferred to this this QB, and the data at this node will be logic 1. Now, because we know that the data storage, whatever we have at Q and QB, depends on the ground and the VDD. Okay. Now, what happens if I remove this ground? I remove this supply voltage from this latch. Then what will happen? Because this VDD was responsible to charge this node QB. But if I have removed this voltage, then there is no potential that is responsible to charge this QB capacitance. There is no. So what it means, that data will be lost, because suppose I have connected this VDD to ground. So there is no potential difference, and if there is no potential difference, this QB node voltage will become 0. So the data will be lost. So if the data, after removing this VDD, if the data is, we are losing the data, what it means, this becomes the volatile memory. Okay. So you got the answer, what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is how we decide the memory is volatile or the non-volatile. Yeah, so I just discussed, considering the DRAM, I discussed this is the non-volatile, how it is non-volatile. And now considering this latch, we can decide whether it is volatile or non-volatile. Now let us extend our analysis further. Okay. So this is what we have, the simple latch. We are calling it latch. But holding the data is simple. Okay, just we explained how we can hold the data at two different storage nodes here. But if I want to read or write the data, then what I have to do? To read and write data, I have to apply some force at these storage nodes. Okay, suppose I want to write 1, then I have to connect a VDD or logic high to this node so that I can transfer the logic high. Similarly, I want to store logic 0 here, so I need to connect this node with the ground somehow so that I can transfer logic 0 here, or vice versa. Okay, so externally we need to apply something so that I can read or write, or I can write the data or read the data from the storage node or to the storage node. Okay, so for that purpose, what we need? For that purpose, we need 2 additional transistors for both the storage nodes Q and QB, and we can call those those additional transistors as a access transistor. So here we need to connect one transistor that will be responsible to transfer logic 0 or 1 to the storage node, or to retrieve the data from the storage nodes. Okay, so we need to connect.
Can you explain this point, why we need these 2 activation transistors?
Okay, let me go back to here. Suppose this is a latch. Okay, this is what we have. Let us assume I have 2 storage node Q and QB here. Okay, if Q is equal to 0 and then QB will be 1. So this is the latch we have. But suppose I want to change the logic. I want to initially, let us assume it is 0, then QB will be 1. Okay, suppose I want to replace this Q with the 1. Then how we can do that? For that purpose, I need to see, because I have provided the VDD and here and here, and because Q is equal to 0, what it means, this is activated, this is activated, this is not activated, this is not activated. But if I have to replace this Q with 1, then what I have to do? Forcefully, I have to change the trip point. Trip point means trip point voltage of the inverter. What is the trip point voltage of the inverter? Let us try to explain it. Suppose I have an inverter, simple inverter, something like this. And if I am applying some input voltage, something like this, okay, so the output behaves something like this. Okay, the point at which initially, see here, before this point, the output was greater than the input. And at this point, output is equal to input. And after this point, output is less than input. Okay, so at the point when input and outputs are crossing to each other, we call it the trip point of the inverter. Yeah, we also know that this is the switching threshold voltage of the inverter. Okay, so this is the trip point of the voltage. So if the input is less than this voltage, then it will be considered as a logic 0 input, and how output will be high. And after this, the like if slightly I have changed the input, then the input will be treated as a logic high, then the output will become logic low. Okay, so this is the voltage which we are calling it the trip point voltage. So suppose I want to change the logic in the in this inverter. Okay, if I want to change the logic in this storage node, so what I have to do, I have to change the trip point of these both the inverters. Okay, so if I have to change the trip point of the both the inverter, what it means, how we can do that, I have to change the inputs in a such a way that I can change the I can change the input so that the output can be changed, or the trip point I can observe. So see here, this is one of the node which is the input for the second inverter, and QB is the input for the first inverter. Okay, so if I have to change this trip point to change the logic, I have to apply some signal over here. Okay, I have to apply some signal over here, like let us assume I have to apply some voltage source which is changing like a ramp. Okay, so for that purpose we need, like with the transistor we can do that. We see here, we cannot always use the voltage sources, like voltage source, I'm changing the voltage source from 0 to 1. So what it means, you need a voltage source in a such a way that that is changing from 0 to VDD, something like that. So instead of that, we can instead of providing the voltage sources, we can consider these voltage sources as a control signal for this memory. Okay, so for that purpose we need to have some additional transistor that will decide whether I have to hold the data or I have to read the data or write the data. Another thing, yeah, this is really very interesting. Suppose if I'm not using the transistor here, access transistor, I'm just simply considering the voltage sources for this one. Okay, so I have to use 2 voltage sources, or 1 voltage source is also possible, right? And suppose I want to change here from 0 to 1, so I need to change this voltage from 0 to 1. So this is what we can do it. Okay, yeah, this is also doable, but the thing is here, like you have to do in opposite side as well. This voltage should change from 0 to 1, and this voltage should change from 1 to 0. Okay, and then you can change the latches. Let me complete these things, then you will be able to understand what is the importance of these things. Okay, so let me clear this side first. So I just told you, because if I want to change the state of these storage nodes, I need some additional transistor or access transistor for that purpose. Okay, so this is the access transistor. Okay, I will answer you like why we need transistor only, why we cannot just simply connect the voltage source as I have done before, like why we are not able to do only voltage source, and why we are connecting these transistors. So I will tell you. Okay, so suppose this access transistor is needed. Okay, and here, like if I want to change the second node as well, so I need another access transistor on the other storage node side. Okay, and to control these two, I need some additional control signals, and we call them, yeah, and to control the gate of both the transistors, both the access transistor, we need another control signal. Like when I have to read or write the data, that signal will decide. Okay, so we call them, like this particular term is known as the bit line. The second terminal which we have connected to the source or drain to the access transistor, that we call it the bit line bar, or this bit line and bit line bar are the complementary to each other, because we have the different storage node. Here we have a Q, at one node we have a Q, and another side we have a Q bar. Okay, so accordingly we need to change the bit lines as well. The third terminal which we have connected to the gate of both the inverter, we call it the word line. Okay, so this is called the word line. Now the question is, and Q and QB are the storage nodes here. Now the question is, why we need access transistor? Can we do these operations like without with these transistors? So let us try to see here. Suppose I have connected, before that, let me explain the operations so that then I will tell you, so that you will be able to hear. Here M1 and M2, we call them the pull down transistors, and M3 and M4, these are the pull up transistors, and M5 and M6 are the excess transistors. Basically these excess transistors are responsible to read the data and write the data. How to read and write operation, I will tell you briefly. I will discuss, or in detail I will discuss about all these things. Okay, now suppose the question is, I just told you, because we can perform three different kind of operations with the memory. The first operation, it could be the read operation. The second operation, it could be the write operation, and the third operation, it could be the hold operation. Okay, so these are the three. Like suppose I want to read some data from the memory, then I need to perform some read operation. If I want to write something, then I have to perform some write. And then if I have to hold the data on the storage node, then I have to decide our control signal in such a way that it should hold the data. Okay, so as we see here, currently we have three control signals. Okay, BL, BLB, and the word line. Okay, that question is still unanswered, like why we need excess transistors. So I will answer that question after a few minutes. Okay, wait. So currently we have three control signals over here: BL, BLB, and the word line. Okay, based on the status of these control signals, okay, we can decide which operation I have to perform. Okay, so let us discuss one by one. Suppose I just told you we can have three different kind of operation. I can have a write operation, I can have a read operation, or I can hold the data on the memory. Okay, and currently if you see, we have three control signals: WL, BL, and the BLB. Now let us discuss one by one for the different operations, what should be the control signal status. Okay, now let us see here. Suppose initially I have this storage node Q is equal to 0 and QB is 1. For example, this Q and QB are 0 and 1 respectively. Okay, this is what I have written the data. And now if I want to hold the data, then how I can hold? Because see here, if somehow I am able to remove this transistor M5 and M6, so there will be no path to discharge through these bit lines. Okay, so it will not get any path, and this whole block will be treated as a latch. Okay, so I need to isolate these storage nodes from the other control signals, and to isolate this storage node from the other control signals, I need to deactivate this transistor M5 and M6. And to deactivate this transistor M5 and M6, can anyone suggest what I have to do?
Word line 0.
Word line should be 0. So if I have kept word line is equal to 0, this M6 and M5 will not work, and they will hold the data on the storage node Q and QB. Okay, so if the WL is equal to 0, and then BL and BLB, whatever the status of BL and BLB, it does not matter, because this is completely isolated. There is no direct path between BL and BLB, BL and Q, and BLB and the QB. Okay, so the BL and BLB can be of any state, like the don't care conditions. Okay, so the important thing is, if I have to hold the data on SRAM, then the word line should be 0. Now the question is, suppose I want to read something. Okay, I want to read 0 or read 1. Then what I have to do? Before reading, I just wanted to explain how to write the data. First write, then I will come back to the read operation. Suppose I have to write 0 on the storage node Q. Okay, suppose I have to write 0, then what I have to do? See here. Initially, let us assume initially the storage node was Q. Q was 1 and the QB was 0, for example. And yeah, if I'm referring write 0, so this is always with reference to the QB only. Okay, so read 0 means with respect to the Q, and read 1 means with respect to Q, read 0 means with respect to 2 and Q, and read 1 with respect to Q. So whatever the operations we are writing over here, these all the operations are with respect to Q, and that will become opposite to QB because the Q and QB are complementary in nature. Okay, so read 0 means I want to read logic 0 at Q. Okay, and similarly for other things. Now thing is, let us assume initially the node Q is at logic 0. Okay, if node Q is at logic 0 and I want to write 0 on node Q, then what I have to do? Because I need to apply some external control signals to write 0. So what I have to do? Because suppose if I have kept this bit line is equal to 0 and I have activated these M5 transistors, so this bit line 0 will be response, because I have connected this to 0, so this Q will, this whatever the charge over here, that will be discharged through this bit line, because there will be a potential difference. So if I have activated this word line and I have made this bit line is equal to 0, then because initially it was 1, so I need to discharge it, and that will be discharged through bit line. So what I have to do for the write 0 operation, if I have to write 0 at Q, what I have to do? I have to first, what should be the status of WL? Can anyone suggest?
Sir, word line should be 1 and
Word
BL
line should be 1, like perfect. So word line should be activated so that M5 and M6 will be active. So word line should be 1, and if I have to write 0 at node Q, then this bit line should be 0, and the bit, because if I want to write 0 at Q, so by default I have to write 1 on QB, and if I have to write 1 on QB, I have to make this BLB 1, so that will charge this storage node QB. Okay, so the BL and BL will be 0 and 1 respectively. Okay, so this is how we can perform the write 0 operation. Now let us talk about, if I initially, let us assume I have initially the logic Q is 0 and QB is 1. Okay, so let us assume Q is 0 and QB is equal to 1, and I want to write 1 on it. Okay, yeah, another thing is like if the Q is equal to 0 and I want to write 0, so what I have to do? It will be 0 activated, there is no potential difference, logic will not change, it will be same as it is. So even though if Q is equal to 0 and I want to perform some write 0 operation again, then what will be done? Like I have to activate this QB, this BL, and I have to activate this WL, and BL is equal to 0. So there is no potential difference between Q and the BL. So there is no charge or discharge. So the logic will remain same. So it will be same as even though the Q was 0. Okay, perfect. Now, sorry. Suppose I have initially I have storage node is storing logic 0, and now I want to write 1. Then how we can do that? For that purpose, yeah, can anyone suggest what should be the status of the control?
Word line 1, bit line 1, and BLB 0.
Perfect. So the bit line should be 1, word line should be 1, and BLB should be 0. And in this case, I can charge this storage node through this one. Okay, so this is simple, like it is 1, it is 1, and it is 0. So this is the control signal. Now let us talk about, suppose I want to read 0 or read 1. Okay, so how we can do that one? Okay, so I think hold and write operation is perfectly clear. Now let us move ahead with the read operation. How we can read the data from this memory? For that purpose, what we need? We need read operation is somewhat different than the write and the hold operation. Okay, so how it is different from the write and hold operation? Let us try to see. All the bit lines, whatever we have here, all the bit lines have their capacitances, bit line capacitances. Okay, so we call it C bit line capacitances. Let me write it perfectly. Okay, so all the bit lines have their bit line capacitances. So bit line and bit line bar will have some capacitance. Okay, so these are the two capacitances. Now what I have to do, if I want to read the data from storage node, let us consider I want to perform read zero operation. Okay, if I have to perform read zero operation, then what I have to do, I have to simply, let us assume the storage node Q is storing logic 0. Okay, if I have to perform the read operation, then access transistor is again required the involvement.
Hello,
the access
sir.
transistor, yeah, please.
Sir, what does read 0 mean? Like, okay, write 0, write 1, I understand. If I want to write 0 or 1 to Q, but what does read 0 mean?
Yeah, I will tell you, just wait 1 minute. I think that will be, I will answer all the questions, like both the question are unanswered. So please complete this. I think your answer will be solved immediately. You don't need to ask that one. Okay, so that will be answered. Let me finish it, then I will tell you. I just told you before, like this read 0, read 1, write 0, write 1, all these operations are with reference to the Q, node storage node Q. So remember this point. Okay, this is really very important to understand, like what is the reference and which I'm considering. Like read 0 means I am reading the data from storage node Q. Read 1 means I am reading the data from storage node Q, something like that one. Okay. Now, for example, I'm not explaining anything, whether I'm considering read 0 or read 1. That will be answered directly. Okay, so let us assume the storage node Q has logic 0. Okay, and by default, the Q will be logic 1. I told you all the bit lines have their bit line capacitances. So what I have to do? If I want to read the data from the memory, because there should be the involvement of access transistors, so I need to activate the access transistors, and to activate the access transistor, the word line should be 1. Okay, so I have kept this word line is equal to 1. Now both the access transistors are activated. Okay, this is the first thing. Second thing is, suppose whatever the bit line capacitances we have here, these bit line capacitances must be charged. These must be pre-charged to logic high. Okay, so this is the second thing. Okay, and to charge both the bit line capacitances, I need to make bit line and bit line bar at logic 1. Okay, so these both the control signal will be at logic 1 if I want to charge. Yeah, it looks like they are complementary, but for the read operations, I need to forcefully see bit line and bit line bar are not connected with the inverter. They are the individual control signals. Okay, so we can make it any combination. Any combination is possible. 0 1 1 0 and 1 1 is also possible, and 0 0 is also possible. Okay, so because these are the individual individual control signals, not like you may have like you may be understanding like it is connected something like this. No, it's not like that. It is not like BL and BL bar are the connected with the inverter. These two are the separate control signals. Okay, yeah, but because for most of the operation, these are in complementary nature, because these are connected with the two sides which are complementary. So that is where we are considering BL and BL bar. Otherwise, these are the separate one. Now, the first thing which I have just told you, like the word line should be 1, which will activate this access transistor. Now the bit line, whatever we have here, this should be 1, so that this bit line capacitor must be charged. Okay, so this bit line capacitor will be charged to the VDD. Now the third thing which we have to consider here, third thing is, like I have to connect a circuit, additional circuitry between bit line and bit line bar. Okay, and that additional circuitry, we call it the sense amplifier. What is the sense amplifier? I will tell you. Okay, but for now, just consider the sense amplifier is nothing but it is the comparator. Okay, so for now, just try for the understanding purpose, we will connect one comparator between bit line and bit line bar, and that will give the output accordingly. Okay, so let me recall again how to perform the read operation. The first and important thing is I have to activate the word line. Okay, any of the word line, right? See here, so the word line should be 1 and bit line should be charged. So for the either I am reading 0 or writing 0, reading 0 or reading 1, for both the conditions the bit line should be and bit line 1 should be high. Okay, so this is the control status of both the things. Now the thing is how we are performing the read operation. Okay, so this is all about the control signal and their status for all the operations. But the thing is, let us try to understand how we can do the read and read 0 and read 1 operation. I just told you we have a word line. We have a bit line capacitor which is charged by activating these bit lines. So bit line and bit line bar are 1. So this bit line capacitor will be charged. We have a comparator circuit over here. This comparator is nothing but technically we call it the sense amplifier. Okay, but for now, just consider this is the comparator which will compare the voltages at BL and BLB. Okay, if both are charged, so it will not give anything, like the sense amplifier will not sense anything because there is no potential difference between BL and BLB. But if there is slight change between this bit line and bit line voltages, then sense amplifier will sense the difference. Okay, and so this is how it happens. Now let us assume the Q is storing logic 0. If Q is storing logic 0 and the M5 is activated because WL is equal to 1. Okay, so this, because this bit line is charged, and see here, let me change the color of marker so that, okay, yeah, so suppose this Q is equal to 0 here. Q is storing 0 and QB is equal to 1 and WL is equal to 1. What it means? M5 and M6 are activated. Okay, M5 and M6 are activated and this bit line is charged. And because if you see here, because at this storage node, here we have a 0 and this is 0, so that will activate this transistor. So M4 is in on state. Okay, M2 will be in off state because 0 is connected over here. Similarly, if you see the other transistors like M3 will be in the off state and M1 will be in the on state. So this is the status of all the transistors whatever we have. Now try to see. Because this M1 is activated and this bit line capacitor is charged, this Q is equal to 0. So if you see here, there is a potential difference between BL and the node Q. Okay, there is a potential difference between the BL and node Q. So this bit line capacitor is getting some path to discharge it because M5 is in on state, M1 is in on state. So what will happen? This bit line capacitor, whatever we have at the BL side, this bit line capacitor will discharge through transistor M5 and M1 because M5 and M1 is in on state. Okay, so because these both are in on state, this bit line capacitor will discharge. Now let us try to check what is the status of bit line bar capacitor. Bit line bar capacitor here is at logic 1, it is charged, and here QB is logic 1, so there is no potential difference. So this bit line bar capacitor will not discharge. Okay, so this CBL bar will not discharge, only this bit line capacitor will be discharged. So because if it is discharging, then the potential at BL and BLB will be different. Okay, so BL and BLB will be different. Then this sense amplifier will sense which of the input or which of the input is decreasing, because in our case, in this case, the BL is decreasing and BLB is remains same. So this sense amplifier will give logic 0, and if it is giving logic 0, like there is some potential difference between these two, right? And the comparator is nothing, it will compare the voltage. Okay, so if it is able to compare the voltage, then it is giving logic 0. What it means, the storage node Q is storing logic 0. Okay, so this is how, like, based on the output of this sense amplifier, we decide what is the output or what is the data stored at storage node.
Sir, again, sir, like sense amplifier, how it is sensing 0?
Yeah, let consider this sense amplifier is nothing but this sense amplifier is the comparator. Okay, so what happens if like here Q is equal to 0, M5 is activated, M1 is activated, and this capacitor will be discharged through transistor M5 and M1. This is perfectly true, right? This is correct. You are able to understand this one, how it is discharging?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is discharging through this one. What it means, this initially the bit line and bit line, both the bit line capacitor were charged at VDD, but because this bit line capacitor is getting path, so it will start discharging through transistor M5 and M1. And if it is getting discharged, so the voltage at BL will be reduced. And the voltage at BL will be reduced. What it means, this comparator, what the sense amplifier we are calling it, this comparator is getting the potential difference between two inputs. And if there is some potential difference, so we know that, like we have studied comparator something like this is the open based comparator. If this is at logic 1, then it will give, if this is high, then output will be 1, and if this is high, then output will be 0. So this is the simple comparator what we can design. So similarly, it is considering like this one. So we have a two terminals, and if this voltage is high and this voltage is decreasing, then it will sense like the output is 0, and accordingly we will decide that the data which is stored at Q is 0. Similarly, on the other side, you got the answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on the other side, like if the QB is equal to 0, if QB is equal to 0, in that case, this BLB capacitor will discharge through transistor M6 and M2, and BL capacitor will remain same. So this voltage will reduce and this will remain same. In that case, it will give logic 1. So it will decide, okay, the data which is stored at Q is 1, because it so this is how we can decide these things.
Sir, if we are constantly like setting BL to 1, then why will BL decrease? Like I'm getting that the capacitor.
No, BL to 1 means we are charging the capacitor here. Here BL 1 and BLB 1 means we are charging the bit line capacitance. Then we will remove it. So
Okay,
once it will be charged, then we need to remove it. Then we need to check.
Sir, means before every read operation, हम charge करके रखते हैं.
Yes. For the every read operation, we have to precharge the bit line capacitor, and then we need to sense with the sense amplifier, with the help of sense amplifier. Okay, so this is how we can do the read operation. Now the important thing is, like yeah, so this question, I think the second question is answered here, how we can do the read operation, how we decide whether it is read 0 or read 1. Now the first question is, like, why we need this excess transistor? Okay, so excess transistor is basically to isolate this bit line and the storage nodes. If I will directly connect the supply voltages here to make some changes on Q and QB, so this is not isolated. Okay, so to make the isolation, to make it latch, to write the data, because the capacitor is involved here. Sometimes we want to break this connection between bit line and the storage nodes. So for that purpose, we need switch. Okay, and the transistor is the best switch that we can use here. That is why we need the excess transistor. So this is the answer of your first question. I think you got, yeah.
Sir, how do we read 1?
How do we read 1? Okay, okay, let me explain again. So do we have time? Yeah, I will take 1 minute because I started late. Okay, so for example, this storage node was storing logic 1, and here it was storing logic 0. Now what happens? Let us see. This transistor activation will be changed, right? So no problem. See here, if the storage node, this is the 0 and this is 1. So if this is 0, this will activate this M3, M1 will be deactivated, and this is 1. So M2 is in on state, M4 is in on state. Now I have charged both the bit line capacitors. Okay, so if I have charged both the bit line capacitor, what it means? If you see here, this is charged, M6 is in on state, M2 is in on state. Now this will get a path like the bit line bar will be discharged through transistor M6 and M2, and bit line, this capacitor will not discharge. So this capacitor will remain same, and this the second capacitor which is connected at the BLB, that will discharge. And if it is discharging, because this voltage is decreasing and this is remains same, so this is at logic high. So this comparator will decide, okay, this is not decreasing, it is high, and the second potential is lower, so it will give logic 1. So if logic 1 means the logic 1 was stored. So this is simple, just like before. You got the answer, or I need
Okay, sir. So it is like it depends on the comparator.
Yes. So the
sir, are you going to explain comparator?
Sense amplifier, yeah, if I will get time, then I will explain the sense amplifier. Yeah, I will try to touch it because we have 7 or 8 lectures left. So I will try my best to cover as maximum like whatever I can do, right? Okay, I will try my best.
So like it seems that the comparator is giving priority to like bit line 1 capacitance.
Yes. This sense amplifier is equally important than the SRAM memory, because the sense amplifier decides what is the logic, and if I have to do some read operation, sense amplifier play a major role. So yeah, I will try to explain these things, sense amplifier as well. Okay, so for now I'm closing the session here only, and we'll continue our analysis or our discussion in the next class. Thank you so much.